over the past few months, we have been hearing talks, especially during this downtime for Patty Jenkins as they wait for the release of Wonder Woman 1984, that Patty Jenkins potentially has herself a Amazonian spin-off movie that she certainly plans on still exploring. So let's go ahead and jump into this topic because Patty Jenkins did come out this week and discuss a little bit more about it. But it says Patty Jenkins actually offers new details about a Wonder Woman Amazon's spinoff. This comes to us from superherohype.com. So let's go ahead and jump into this article. It does say in a new interview with Geek Magazine via Reddit, Jenkins revealed when the upcoming spinoff will take place. Apparently, it picks up sometime after the first Wonder Woman and even sets the stage for Jenkins' third film. So this is what Patty Jenkins says. She says, "This is a story that Jeff Johns and I came up with and then introduced to Warner Brothers," said Jenkins. "The events of this story takes place after Diana leaves Themyscira, the island of the Amazons, and there are some twists and turns linked to what will happen between Wonder Woman 84 and Wonder Woman 3. The production of the project has yet to officially start, but I hope we get it because I love this story." It does say that Jenkins originally teased her ideas for an Amazon spinoff last December, and earlier this year she confirmed that she won't be directing this movie herself. Instead, she will help guide the project to fruition as a producer. So it looks like she plans on at least sticking around for the spinoff as a producer, and then hopefully back for a Wonder Woman 3. So I do find it interesting that her and Jeff Johns actually worked on this film, but I'm kind of fascinated to kind of see how this would work out, because one of the things that really always jumped out at me at the end of Wonder Woman probably was just her life on Themyscira, how we really don't revisit it after the events of her leaving Themyscira in Wonder Woman. So like I know when it comes to Wonder Woman 1984, we have already seen some flashback sequences, perhaps them working on like a Amazon sort of Olympics, if you will, going through a ton of like testing of your strength and things like that. So like different trials and whatnot. So Themyscira just continues to fascinate me, honestly. So I really want to go back to that world. And if Patty Jenkins says that they have themselves an idea of a story that they want to go ahead and tell, I'm all for it, because there were certainly some Amazonians that jumped out at me that definitely made me want to be a little bit more interested in what their past was certainly like, seeing how some of them were super protective of Diana, how some of them were open to the idea of making sure that she trained to become one of their best warriors. So I really want to see what else happens on that island, especially considering just its role that it plays in the DCEU. I mean, goodness, just from the Justice League movie alone, we've known that they've had numerous battles there in the past and things like that. So I'm sure there's plenty of DCEU lore to continue to explore in there. So listen, if Patty Jenkins and Jeff Johns have a story to tell, certainly let them tell it. I'll definitely go ahead and eat it up, especially if it's going to be links to a future storylines for an upcoming Wonder Woman sequel. I'm definitely here for it. But Stuart, you hear this news on the new details for this Patty Jenkins Amazon spinoff. What are your thoughts in regards to it, man?
Fun action fantasy film with beautiful women in sexy outfits. Count me in. But yeah, finding out that Patty Jenkins isn't directing it, that actually kind of surprised me, because yeah, I do remember when she dropped those hints back in December. So I kind of assumed that it was going to be kind of a sequel to Wonder Woman 1984 that she would be directing, but like without it starring Wonder Woman. But yeah, it's kind of like cool listening to this and then also realizing that this is going to take place before Wonder Woman 1984, which means any worry that people might have that 84 will just be a setup for it. You know, I don't think anyone who had that worry doesn't have to worry anymore. But yeah, I think there are definitely a lot of interesting characters that we see, even though we don't get that much time to know them. So I am curious if we're going to be spending time with one of them as the main character, or if we're going to get a completely new character like maybe Donna Troy or
Artemis, maybe.
Or Artemis, yeah.
Yeah, I would love to see. That just popped in my head when you brought up the idea of maybe potentially introducing us to new characters. Because yeah, I would love to see something told through the eyes of Donna Troy, or yeah, even Artemis. I can't remember, was Artemis introduced in the first Wonder Woman film?
Nope.
No, she wasn't? Okay, I couldn't remember or not. But yeah, I would love to see something along those lines. Like if I had to assume just based off of what the details here are, I would assume that Diana's not in it. I would assume maybe probably some references, but this almost feels like Black Widow to me a little bit, like the utilization of the placement of this movie, how like Black Widow kind of takes place after the events of Civil War. Like this kind of like bridges that gap, you know what I mean? And so I
Hmm.
definitely think of this Amazonian movie to kind of bridge that gap between, even though it takes place just after Diana winds up leaving, it clearly will have impact on what happens between Wonder Woman 84 and the upcoming sequel in Wonder Woman 3. So I love the connective tissues, honestly. It definitely feels as though Patty Jenkins is building more to this franchise, almost like its own mini cinematic universe, if you will, right? Like this Wonder Woman and Amazonian story being fleshed out and told over a series of 4 films. I think that's brilliant, especially if you can keep Patty Jenkins on board with all of that to tell its story, you know?
Hmm. And I think the best part is with it taking place on Themyscira, or at least I'm assuming that's where it's taking place. It's so disconnected from most of the
Mm.
other areas in the DC universe that they can kind of just tell whatever story they want. They definitely don't have to worry about continuity or anything at all because it's all going to be. I would assume this would be like a perfect opportunity to have like a self-contained story.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. I mean, definitely self-contained. It certainly would make sense for them to kind of certainly leave those branches of Easter eggs and nuggets of information to keep building that lore and make those connections further out. But you're right, considering just how remote and away from the rest of the world that Themyscira is, I would be really fascinated to see what story they certainly have in mind with it being so separated from everybody else. But guys, listen, we definitely want to know your thoughts now that you hear about Patty Jenkins and really the placement of this Amazon spin-off movies. Is this something that you certainly would love to see or are certainly interested in? Going back to what you were saying, Stuart, the idea that she's not directing it, even though she's executive producing it and having a part in the story elements. I would be really interested to see exactly who they wind up bringing in to kind of tell this story and actually share their vision. So I'm going to be really interested to see who they put around the rest of this cast and crew.
Hmm. Same here, definitely.
But guys, definitely let us know your levels of excitement for an Amazon spinoff in the live chat or the comment section box below, ladies and gentlemen.